Hello guys, welcome back to Sanvfx.com. Today we are back with another exciting tutorial, and today we are going to take a look at creating Shockwave in 3ds Max using FumeFx. This was actually inspired from the particle effects or Shockwave particle effects from Video Copilot. This is a really cool product. You can go ahead and check it out. Andrew Kramer also had a tutorial on creating shockwaves using completely After Effects without using any third-party plugins. You can check that out as well if you are an After Effects user. Okay, and we are also back here, and today we are gonna do the same experiment using FumeFx. So this is what we have got. So this one was completely simulated using FumeFx and rendered out. We do have quick variations. We added some particles and rendered that in Krakatoa. That's we're not gonna cover in this tutorial, but this one was kind of like a little bit of variation I tried to give it. And here's another one also simulated using FumeFx, and this is just kind of like a smoke shockwave which can be used in some kind of explosions or anything. Every explosion have a shockwave, and you can just add this element in your explosion. That can be really good. Okay, here's another one, final variation, and that was actually rendered in FumeFx, and later on the particles and the color correction were done in After Effects by our author Nagis Karel. He did some color correction, and he's quite busy to record a tutorial for that. So at the end of the video, I'll definitely give you a quick overview on how he did it. So stay with us, and after we're done with FumeFx simulation, we'll look into After Effects, how we can do some color corrections and add in some particles in After Effects. So one more news we have that we do have this cool taxi model in our 3D models gallery. You can go to visit our site sanvfx.com, go to downloads and 3D models, and there you have this taxi model. It was given to us by Siva BK, who is a professional 3D modeler. You do have a contact information of his on our website, so go check it out. It is a really cool model. We'll soon have more great 3D models, so don't forget to check our website as well. Okay, now we're in 3ds Max. We're gonna start creating our shockwave, but before that, if you are new to FumeFx, then go ahead to our website. We do have some really cool FumeFx tutorials. We do have a basic series as well, some explosion tutorials, and some other FumeFx tutorials, so that will give you a good head start to begin up. Well then, without further ado, let's get into the tutorial. So first of all, we need a particle system in order to generate our shockwave. So let's go ahead and go to particle system, PF source, and drag it in viewport. Okay, then go to modify tab, particle view. You can also press the shortcut key number 6 on the keyboard in order to open the particle view. So let me make a little bit of room here. Okay, now that we have a simple particle system, you can see now our particles are falling down. We need our particles to follow to move in these directions, like in kind of like a circle. So in order to do that, let's go to position icon, and we're gonna okay, that's volume, that's alright. Let's go to speed, and then we're gonna go to direction icon, center out. Now you can see the particles are moving in all the direction from the center point. Okay, you can see on the top view here. Okay, that's something what we want. Okay, then we're gonna go ahead and increase the speed, something like 450, and some variations as well, maybe something like 100 variations. We can also add in some diversions, and look at the left view. When we change the diversions, you can see that now our particles are even flying on y-axis, or maybe g-axis. Yeah, max coordinates are a little bit off, different, so I was a little confused. Okay, the particles are now diverted in g-axis. So you have some kind of like a thick kind of like a particle system that are flowing out from a center point. Okay, let me delete the rotation and shape, which we don't need, and then let's go ahead, go to position icon. If you have anything here, I guess there's nothing. Let's go to birth, and I need the birth to stop somewhere around 3 or maybe 4. I don't want my particles to keep forming for a longer time. I just want them to be a quick burst. Okay, so you can see a few particles are bursting out. Let me select this PF source go down up here and let me change the viewport percent to 100 so that I can see all of my particles on my view here. That's pretty good. And maybe we want to have some more variation on speed, something like that. You can also increase the speed if you want. And then we're gonna add in a delete operator. Let's go to delete, where it is. Okay, delete. Let's add it in there, and by particle is, let us set it. Okay, let me reduce the lifespan down to something like 6 or 7, and also reduce the variation to maybe 3, and let me increase a bit. Let's see what it will look like. And that's good, but maybe I want to reduce it to 6 with 2 variations maybe. That's looking pretty good. Let me go ahead to speed and reduce the variation down a bit. I want kind of like a cloud of particles that are flowing out, and at the end we have some particles forming kind of like a cloud effect. That's what we are looking after. It's kind of like good. Maybe the birth, I need to set it down 3 or maybe 2. Let's see. Okay, that looks good. And I want to make my particles die a little more sooner, maybe at 5. Okay, that's good. That will create a quick burst of particles. Now we can go to birth and increase the particle amount to maybe something like 1500. We don't want to have enough amount of particles, or maybe 2000. Okay, that way you create dense particles. Okay, that's it with the particle system. If we need any changes, we'll definitely get back and make some changes over there, but for now that will be fine. Now the next thing is we need to create our FumeFx source container. First of all, let's FumeFx and create our container. Okay, let's go to top view, and let's see, we need it to be a little bit larger so that it won't clip any of our fluids. Okay, something like that. And regarding the height, we may not need this high, so let me reduce the height. Okay, that'll be fine. And make sure that your particles are lying on the grid and your FumeFx container on the same grid as well, so that we'll get kind of like an impact on the floor when we are simulating our shockwave. Okay, once that we have created our container, let's go to helper, down to FumeFx, and create our particle source. Go to modify tab and pick our particles. Okay, now let me select in my container. Let's go to FumeFx UI and go to object source and add in our particle source here. Now these particles are part of our scene. Let me go ahead and go to particle system first of all, and let me reduce the birth maybe something like 1500. And also go to PF source up here, reduce the viewport percent once again to back to 30, or maybe 50 will be good. Okay, so that we have less particles in our viewport. That will make our viewport a little more faster. Okay, you can always make changes in our particle system if you want to. Let's select the FumeFx container, and let's go ahead and tweak some settings. First of all, let's go to general tab. Let's reduce our spacing down to something like 3 for the maybe 2 for the test, and later on we'll reduce that for our final simulations. Let's go to simulation tab, and we're gonna turn off smoke because we're gonna work completely with fuel. You can also do that with only smoke or both, and you can get a pretty much good result, but for now we're just gonna use fuel. Okay, now let us reduce the maximum iteration down to 150. Maybe let's see, advection stride, let's increase this to 0.6, and I'm just pumping in some values. And if you don't know what these settings do, then you can just head to my website Sanvfx.com, and you can take a look at FumeFx basic series. I have explained most of the important settings out there, so you can get a pretty much what these settings will do. You can know about that. So let me set my turbulence to something like 1.2, increase the velocity damping maybe 0.2. Okay, and the scales up to maybe 50, and detail to 5. Okay, and let's say for the fuel we're gonna set something like really low burn rate, because we want some fire to linger around at the center as well. When the particles die out, we do want them to linger a little bit more, and we want them to rise a little bit higher as well. So I'm gonna reduce the burn rate down to 10. We may even reduce that later on if we are not satisfied. I'm gonna set the burn rate variation to 1, and a little bit of expansion, maybe 1.2. Okay, once that, let us do a quick simulation and have a look what we're getting right now. Okay, you can see some particles are moving out, but it really does not look like a shockwave right now. Let me stop it. Let's go to object source. I'm gonna go down here. I'm gonna increase the radius to something like let's see, let's zoom in a bit, and I'm gonna increase the radius by something like 5. That'll be good, I guess. And I'm gonna increase the temperature to 500. Okay. Now let's do another sim. Okay, you can see now we have some thick fire coming out from the center, and you can see these fires are even lingering at the center as the particle dies out. That looks pretty good, I guess. Let me stop it right there. Obviously you will have better simulation once you reduce the spacing, but it looks pretty good for now. Let's see if we have some settings to play on. Maybe scale, maybe reduce it down to 40. Just do some experiments. FumeFx, these stuffs are just based on experiments you'll get. You need to do quite a few times, do different experiments with different settings, and you should get pretty much good result. Maybe I'm gonna reduce the burn rate down to 8, and then hit production maybe 15. Okay, that should do well. Let's go to generator tab, and then let me set my default cache now. Actually I should have done that at first, but that's okay. Let me go to main drive here. I'm going to create a new folder and say Shockwave cache. Open it and save it. Okay, the next stuff, I guess that's pretty much fine, and I'm gonna increase the velocity damping maybe 0.3, increase the vorticity a bit so that we get some chaos or some variations in our flames. Okay, let's go to the render tab, and let me reduce the opacity a bit, and let's do some simulations once again. Okay, I think the particles are too much. I think we need to reduce the particle birth count a little bit less. Stop it. Let's go to particle view, press the 6 key on a keyboard, and from the birth right here, let's reduce it down to 1000. Okay, that's better. And let's do another simulation. Well, it looks really good. You can tweak some settings to get some different kind of shockwave as well. That's completely based on experiments. So try on different settings and you should get some good result. Let me stop it. Go to turbulence here and set the frame to 20 or something like that, and the turbulence maybe just 0.8. I'm going to reduce the scale as well, 35, and I want to block the sides because I don't want these particles to clip off the bottom. Like you can see right now, they're just clipping off. I just want them to interact with the floor and they just crash on the floor and they rise up. So in order to do that, we're going to block the G side to negative G, so that every fluids that are going to go below this grid line are going to bounce back. That'll give us a more realistic result. Let's see the changes by simulating. Now you can see, I don't know if you can notice it, but the particles are bouncing back and they are forming kind of like a thick fire right now. Okay. Okay, move right here. That's pretty good. Let's go here, and I think I'm gonna animate the expansion parameter. Let me go to the first frame and then turn on auto key. So let me set a key right there, and then let me go to something like 5 frame or maybe 4 frame. I'm gonna set another key right here. Okay, and then let me go a few more frames ahead, 3 or 4 frames ahead, and I'm gonna reduce the expansion down to 1. Okay, that way I'll just have some expansions right at the beginning of the explosions or beginning of the shockwave. Okay, that looks pretty good. Okay, now let me turn off the auto key so that we don't mess with other settings right there. Okay, now let me do a little bit higher steam, and I'll come back maybe something like 1.5. I'm not gonna do pretty high right now because that's gonna take some time, so let me do some simulation now. Okay. I'll get back to you once the simulation is done. Okay, the simulation is done. Let me set my time frame to maybe 54 frames. That's it, because that's what I simulated. So let's go ahead and preview our animation. Okay, it's quite slow right now, but it should give you a pretty good idea of what it looks like. Okay, we're pretty happy. I think I'm quite happy with this one. That's okay. Okay, kind of like a shockwave bursting out and then disappearing. Okay, that's good. Now we're gonna go ahead and work on further rendering. Let's open the FumeFx view again, go to rendering tab, and down here you may want to reduce the color to maybe 0.4, and let's go ahead and play with some opacity curves right here. Something like that maybe. You can get some really good result playing around with this curve. Okay, and maybe reduce the opacity, or maybe increase the opacity to 0.9 or something like that. That's a good. Okay, that's good. Now that's done. What we're gonna do, we can set a color for our shockwave. Now, right now it's looking really flat. It does not look any good, but we can choose a gradient. We can just right click the color and choose the key mode, and from there we can add in some colors. With this gradient you can get some really good result. Let me add a color here, something like black. Okay, color right here. Let me add another color here, something like a reddish type. Maybe okay. Clamp it with a black. Change this white to black as well. And maybe meet up right there. Set it something like yellow. You can just go ahead, do some experiment with these colors as well. You can see we're clamping that. Let's see. Maybe sit up the pin, add some different color right here. Okay, change the carbon right here. Let's see what we can get. Something like that maybe. Just playing around it, you can get a pretty much good result. Okay. Let's see. Kind of like a fiery shockwave. This one looks pretty good as well. But what we're gonna do, instead of playing around with these gradient curves, it's gonna be really tiresome. You gotta play a lot more to get the perfect result. Instead of that, we're gonna just get rid of this keyless mode, and we're gonna set it to a grace color, something like a dark color. You can see here that way, and then I'm gonna increase the color to 0.6 back again to default, or maybe increase it a bit more, 0.8, so that we get a bit more colorful, bit more color, and we're getting a little bit brightness out there. It's good. Maybe increase the opacity to maybe 10. Oops, sorry, just 1. I'm sorry. Let's go to the curve, and I think we need to play a bit more with this curve as well. Okay, that looks good. You can just render it out in a simple gray shader, and then go to After Effects and colorize it. Okay, once that you're happy with these color settings, then you can just go ahead and render your scene. But before that, do a high-res scene, something like 0.5 or maybe even low, 0.4. Do it. If you have good system, do a really high quality sim. It's gonna take a few hours, but you'll get a pretty good result. Once the simulation is done, go to render setup and select set it to range, and choose the desired size, maybe HD. Save the file output to somewhere around, let's say, name it. Choose the format type, maybe JPEG. Save it. Okay, and then you can just choose the default render. You don't need V-Ray render or anything, as well as choose your desired angle. You can also use front view or left view. So let's see how it looks in these views. You can see that looks pretty good as well, kind of like a shockwave in explosion. That is good. So choose your desired angle and then hit render. Okay, and once that render is done, we're gonna go into After Effects and colorize it. So now that you have completed the 3ds Max and FumeFx stuff, we are here in After Effects. Actually, I asked Nagis to do some color corrections and add in some colors in After Effects, and I asked him to make it as simple as possible so that I can easily give you guys an overview. But look what he's got. He got some particles. Man, I don't know how to explain all of this, but still I'll do my best to explain you guys, and I hope we'll soon have him back and he'll do a tutorial to explain how to add colors to this kind of stuff. So hope we'll have such tutorial soon. For now, I'll just give you guys a quick overview. So let me turn off all the layers at first. Okay, so simply we have a simple comp with a black background. Okay, you can see it's just a black background, and then we have our FumeFx or 3ds Max rendered file. It's just a simple render which we rendered using gray shader. Okay, and then we have a particle outside, so let me just solo that and you'll see what is that. Okay, this is just simple particles bursting out. It was created using trapcode particular. You can see here, I don't know what setting he used, so I'm not sure about how he set up this one, but the only thing I can say is that he used particular. That's it. So make sure it's particle, simple particles, and then we have some inner particles. Let me solo that one as well, and you'll see again some shooting particles, something like this, kind of like a electric force or something like that. Again, using just particular and a fast blur, particular and a fast blur, and he has also added a matte. Let me show that as well. Okay, it's just a simple matte, simple solid with added mask in order to add in alpha matte. Sorry. Okay, you can see here is a inverted matte, so that he's just clipping center part a bit to make it kind of like from, let's say, making a center a little bit thinner or something like that. Okay, let me, if I let's say turn off the alpha matte, no track matte. You can see it glows a bit more. You can see that. Let me solo this one, turn on here, and let's say if I can turn on alpha inverter, you can see the core is not too glowing, but if we turn that off, and it's a little bit glowing off. Okay, that's it. Let me turn on that. Okay, and then again we do have another particle inner, and let me solo that. It's the same one as the particle inner first one, and it's something similar without a fast blur. Okay, and it also does not have a center. That is done using a matte again, the similar kind of matte and alpha inverted matte. And then we have another particle system again. Okay, so let me solve that one as well, and it's another particle bursting out, a bit different than the first one. This particle outer a little bit different, but something similar to that. Okay, and then again we have another render file of our Shockwave, but this time it is masked and with a little bit thinner. Okay, it is masked, you can see, with some feather, 75 pixels feather. Here use this mask. We do again have another particle field, and that's kind of like a background field, and you can see the particles, these particles are bursting out, let's say from the center. You can see that as the shockwave blows off, it's blowing off. It's actually done using the particular, and down here physics ear radius. Okay, that's what creates the, sorry, I'm really sorry. Okay, ear and radius, let's say, you can see this is how he did it. Actually I just figured it out so I just explained it. That's how he did it. Okay, setting a keyframe at the right time whenever our shockwave happens, just pumping the value up, and that will create this simple effect. Okay, and then now we have some color corrections up here, some adjustment layers. First of all, we have diffuse. Okay, it's giving a little bit of glow. You can see a glow is added. You can also copy these settings if you want. And then we have a shockwave. I don't know what it is. It has a stroke, fast blur, CC fast blur. Let's see, what kind of thing is this? Okay, this is just a simple shockwave. Yeah, let me turn this off, and you'll see kind of like a shockwave bursting out, giving kind of like a distortion feel to it. Okay, you can see some edges right here. That's it. And then it is also he has also used matte in order to clip this center area for the shockwave. And then we have another CC layer, adjustment layer with a tint, a bit of a blue and 35% tint amount. We have another CC with curves and gamma corrections. Let me turn that on. Now you see we get this blue color. For the curves, we have used variations. For the red, this is the curve, for green, and then for blue. Okay, that's it. Also for gamma, you can copy these settings, pause the video and copy these settings if you like to. And then we have another optic composition. That's actually optional, it's not necessary. It'll give some kind of like a bulge effect, but I guess that's really optional. It's not much necessary. And on top of that, we have a noise. Let me zoom in a bit, and you can see, let's say somewhere around here, I don't know if you can notice, it gets a little bit noisy as you add this. That'll give kind of like a little bit a realistic feel rather than having it completely flat. Okay, so noise gives a little bit better look than making it pure flat. Okay, and that's it. I don't know if you guys got anything out of it, and I can explain how these particles were set up. Really sorry for that. So we'll have him back soon. He's really busy for now, and he'll soon record a tutorial to explain how he set up all these particle systems and how he created this complete composition. So till then, I hope this quick overview will help you, and you can do on your. Or else, if you don't want to follow up all these things, then you can simply use VCP. I don't know what was that. Let's see, VCP color vibrance from Video Copilot. This color vibrance gives a really good feel. Let me do a quick overview on how you can use that. Let me turn off all those settings and just turn on my render. So this is a simple a render from 3ds Max, you can use this plugin directly, add it to your file, and you can see it is already colored simply. Okay, now you can just tweak some settings. Let's set a blue color, something like that. Okay, let's increase the vibrance or maybe reduce the vibrance a little bit, and luminance, brightness, pushed up the brightness a little bit. Okay, you can see in that way you can create a simple colorized form of Shockwave. Okay, so this is a free plugin, so you can get it from Video Copilot's website. Go ahead and you can download and install it on your After Effects. So that's cool. Well, that will be the end of the tutorial. I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. If you have any queries, you can write a message on Facebook page Sanvfx. You can just like our page and you can send us a message on Facebook page, or you can also use contact form on our website Sanvfx.com. So if you have not yet checked our website, go ahead and visit Sanvfx.com. We do have some more great tutorials as well as some free 3D models and textures as well. Thank you guys for watching. See you guys soon in another tutorial. So till then, have a good day.